Hello, welcome to Java Programming Tutorials, Chapter 15, Constructor, brought to you by Ankpro Technologies. My name is Harish. So in this session, we are going to learn about what is constructor and how do you create a constructor. There are some rules to follow when we create a constructor and the types of constructor. So first of all, let us understand what is a constructor. See, constructor in Java, it's a special type of method, okay? And why it is used? It is used to initialize the object. Okay, and it is invoked at the time of object creation. I repeat, the constructor will be invoked at the time of object creation. As soon as you create an object of the class, at that point of time your constructor will be invoked. So now, without wasting much time, let me show you how to create a constructor. So when you create a constructor, we have to follow some rules. So the constructor name should be same as its class name. Okay, I repeat, the constructor name will be same as the class name. You can observe here I have a class called sample, and the constructor, this is how you will create a constructor: the class name followed by the common brackets and the curly braces. Okay, and this we're going to learn later, like what is int x and x is equal to 10. But as of now, we understand like constructor name should be same name as the class name. Okay, and constructor must have no explicit return type. It should not have any explicit return types in it. So that is the two rules we have to keep in mind when we are creating a constructor. So let me show you how to create a constructor and how do we initialize the values to the fields present in the class with the help of constructor. So let me jump into Eclipse, and here I get a project. I'll double click on this. So now I have a class here. So to this constructor, what I'll do is I will like to add another class, that is new class. So the class name is student. Then I'll click finish. So right now I have a class, so let me delete it. So I have made a mistake in the naming. Okay, right now I'll add it again, new class, and I'll call the class as employee. Then I'll click finish. So I have a class employee. So what I'll do is I'll add the fields like ID, name and age, and with the help of constructor we will initialize the values to that fields. So it's public int ID string name public int age. So these are the fields what I have in a class employee. Now earlier what we did is we just created an object of this class, employee, okay. Now e dot 101 and e dot name is Sam and is it n. So let me make it a small n, not the capital one. So here I'll get a error, so I have to change it like this. So next I had something called age 25. So this is what we did in the last session, like system dot out dot, let me print each of them. So now let me copy this. E dot ID, then name, then let me print age 2. So now when I run this application, you can observe very clearly it is 101 Sam and 25. These are the things what we assigned to the object, and now it's printing. It's very easy. So this is what we learned in this session. Now what if okay, I'll use a constructor to initialize the values to these fields. So at that point of time what I'll do is I'll just come here. So I'll create a constructor. So how do we create a constructor? We have some rules. The constructor name should be same name as the class name, so that I'm typing it, then followed by the common brackets, then with the curly braces. So now what I'll do is I'll initialize the values to these fields ID, name and age with the help of my constructor. So ID is 20, name is Ram, then age is 30. Okay, and now this is what ID, name and age. Now what I'll do is as I told you, like constructor will be initialized as soon as you create an object. So now let me remove all these things. Okay, right now I'm not calling like e.id, then I'm not assigning the value, because with the help of my constructor I've already done that. So what I need to do just now is I need to just run this program. You can observe here very clearly, okay, the constructor employee get initializes as soon as we create a object. Okay, so whatever the values I've assigned here will be passed into this object and I can access them directly. So this is how we'll get the output as 20 RAM and 30. So I hope you understood like how to create a constructor. Okay, and coming to the next set, there are two types of constructors: default constructor and parameterized constructor. A constructor that have no parameters is called as default constructor. Okay, parameterized constructor, a constructor that have a parameters is called as parameterized constructors. So let me show you that also. Right now, what is the type of constructor we have created? It is a default constructor because it does not take any parameters. So let me comment it here. Default constructor. So this is what, and now control V, and now what I'm trying to do is employee, and now it is parameterized constructor. Parameterized parameterized constructor. So now what I'll do is it's very simple. So it's having three values: ID, name and age. So first I'll pass like int a, and next is string b, next is again int c. So now what I do is I'll tell like, okay, ID equals this a, in the sense this ID will hold the value when I pass a parameter to this constructor. So similarly, let me call the next one, that is name is b and age is equal to c. So now what I'll do is I'll come back to my project here, and what I'll do next is I'll create another object, employee e1 is equal to new employee, but this constructor takes a parameter. So the first thing is ID we have to pass, so it is 100, then the name, so I'll pass it as Sham, and next is the age, it's 25. So now you can observe here, this is a default constructor and this is a parameterized constructor. So now again the same process, I'll just print them with the help of this object present here. So is undefined, int, string and hint is undefined. So let me go back and let me check out what is the problem happening here. So name equals b, so this is fine. So what is the problem happening there? So let me check out. It is ID, name and it's here. Remove arguments to match employee, constructor, int, string and int. So let me pass it like this: employee, it is ID 12 and Soumya, it is string, so 25. So now it's e.1 invalid, it's a string, we have to pass it in double quotes. So let me wait for that. Okay, now this works very well. So let me change the name to some other thing like Brandon. So now just to give the space between these two things, now I'll run this program. You can observe very clearly it's printing 20 RAM and 30, which is coming from default constructor, and 12 Brendan and 30, which is coming from the parameterized constructor. So this is a default constructor which does not take parameters, and this is a parameterized constructor which take the parameters. So I hope you understood this one. It's very easy. So default constructor and parameterized constructor. This is how you will initialize the default constructor, and this is how you initialize the parameterized constructor. So this is what we learned like about what is constructor and types of constructors in Java. So finally, thank you for listening. Have a great day. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel Ankpro Training. You can also like our Facebook page visiting this URL. You can also follow us on Twitter. For the reference, ref our website. We are on LinkedIn too. Last but not the least, please don't forget to give the feedback. Thank you. Have a great day.